Karen sits beside Aoshi, asking if she's handling their date correctly. He glances at her, replying that she seems to be doing well enough. But she clenches her fist, insisting that well enough isn't what this is. Aoshi listens in silence, his expression unreadable. With a determined blush, Karen reminds him that she is his real girlfriend now. He seems to remember this, a quiet acknowledgement in his eyes. Then, his hand gently reaches out to take hers. Looking out at the view, he tells her that she is truly beautiful. The sudden, sincere compliment leaves her completely speechless. He assures her he's serious as Karen hides her face in a flustered mess. His fingers gently interlace with hers, a silent promise in the touch, and a soft, contented smile finally breaks through her blush. She remembers asking him how she was supposed to act now, a question that had clearly caught him completely off guard. She just wanted to know what it would take for him to see her as the real thing. Back in the present, he admits that they still feel a bit too distant. Taking his critique to heart, she offers a bold solution. She closes the space between them, her hand gently cupping his cheek. A slow smile spreads across his face as he agrees this feels much more real, and for a moment, standing under the night sky, they finally look like a couple. The world seems to fade away as they lean closer to one another. He looks into her eyes and finally says the words she's longed to hear. With tears welling up, she tells him she feels the exact same way. Her genuine emotion seems to catch him completely by surprise. He closes the remaining distance between them, his hand gently cradling the back of her head. She holds onto his shirt, lost in the moment, and under the soft lights, they finally share a kiss. But just as the moment feels perfect, a voice yells, "Cut!" revealing the entire scene was just for the cameras. Later, they review the footage, praised for their incredibly convincing performance. A crew member teases one of the staff about the unscripted kiss. Aoshi overhears them, his expression hardening at the casual discussion. Just then, two other girls from the cast, Ima and Asuka, walk over. Asuka offers a tight-lipped compliment, though her eyes suggest she's not pleased. Ima, however, winks playfully, admitting she's a little jealous of their performance. But Aoshi coldly dismisses her, insisting that it was simply good acting. As the crew celebrates a successful shoot, he sits alone on a nearby bench. The exhaustion finally hits him, a deep weariness settling in his eyes. The noise and chatter of the crew seem to fade into the background. He can only stare at the shore, wishing their date had been a normal one. His mind drifts back to the show he's a part of, Our Season, a massive hit reality series. He was cast as the popular leading man, the center of everyone's attention. But in doing so, he had to betray his own genuine feelings. He was the object of affection, receiving heartfelt confessions from the girls. Each one of them, like Ima, had put their heart on the line for him. Karen had been just as sincere in her feelings. Even Asuka had confessed her affections for Aoshi. He once believed that youth was supposed to be a brilliant, shining thing, a time for pure, honest love where you could face your partner directly, but he learned that in reality, it was all just entertainment for someone else. He feels as though his youth is already dead, sold off for the fleeting adoration of fans who call out his name. He plays the part, waving back with a smile, but internally scoffs at the whole charade. This is his fake youth, a life built on a lie. It all started with the high school romance reality show, Our Season. The program became a massive social phenomenon, capturing the nation's attention. Countless students gave up their normal lives just for a chance to audition. The school chosen for filming became a paradise for the country's most popular teens. And among them, of course, was Aoshi himself. He, too, was just another member cast in this elaborate performance. He remembers walking into his new classroom, already wearing a mask of indifference. His presence immediately causes a stir among the other students. The other boys already feel the pressure of having a celebrity in their midst. They chalk up their jealousy to the simple fact that he's just too good-looking. But one friendly face, a boy named Haruma, greets him with genuine excitement. Aoshi ignores him, burying his nose in a light novel about the very youth he feels he's lost. Haruma playfully tries to get his attention, but Aoshi coldly shuts him down. He can only offer a flat, detached comment on his friend's energy. But then, a sudden voice makes him turn his head in surprise. A beautiful girl with a shy smile offers him a soft good morning. He greets her by name, Asuka, with a line that sounds almost perfectly rehearsed. She playfully asks if he's trying to sweet-talk her, leaving the answer to his imagination. This is Asuka Hinaka, a rising star whose every gesture is designed to capture hearts. But she notices him just staring blankly and asks if something is wrong. Snapped out of his trance, Aoshi quickly dismisses her concern. It's then that she notices his tie is completely askew. A sudden realization seems to dawn on her face. With a gentle smile, she offers to fix it for him. As she gets close, she teases him about his appearance, but he seems completely flustered by her proximity. She finishes the job with a satisfied smile, leaving him to mumble a quiet thanks. With a slight blush, she leans in to make a bold suggestion. She playfully asks if he'll return the favor and check her appearance, too. Aoshi is completely stunned by her forwardness, unable to respond. For a moment, it feels like he's reaching for something impossibly bright. But she just laughs it off, playfully teasing him about the interaction. He can only manage a quiet agreement, still flustered by the exchange. Just then, Haruma walks over, commenting on how close the two of them seem. But Aoshi notices how quickly Asuka's cheerful mask disappears. He sees her for what she is, a performer playing the part of a perfect, pure girl. His train of thought is shattered as Haruma suddenly cries out in pain. It was another girl's finger, poking him sharply in the cheek. She winks at Aoshi, cheerfully asking if he's enjoying his youthful experience. He recognizes her as Ama, his expression completely devoid of interest. She playfully chides him for his low energy, reminding him they're castmates this season. She then suggests they take a photo together on the first day, to stir up some drama. With a confident pose, she declares herself a national treasure of a beauty. This is Ima Shinkai, a charismatic girl whose popularity is said to rival even Asuka's. She immediately showers Asuka with compliments, praising her pure and elegant aura. Aoshi watches their overly sweet interaction from afar, finding the whole display almost sacred in its fakeness. Ima then turns her attention to Haruma, greeting him with the same practiced cheerfulness. Ima suddenly seems to remember something, a thought crossing her mind. She calls out to Aoshi, then to Haruma, and finally to Asuka. She points out that someone is calling for them from the hallway. The four of them are immediately swarmed by other students who are buzzing about the four heavenly kings. The crowd fawns over them, remarking that Asuka and Emma are on a completely different level. Aoshi internally scoffs at the title they've been given. The Four Heavenly Kings, a label for the show's most popular members, reducing them to archetypes. This is the life they chose, a world where countless students give up everything for a chance at this manufactured fame. He internally remarks that this supposedly beautiful life is nothing special. Their day is interrupted by a summons to the principal's office. A woman with glasses and a cheerful demeanor greets them, holding an energy drink. She explains that she was the one who called them all to the office. Before continuing, she chugs the entire can, looking utterly exhausted. She then introduces herself as both the school's principal and the show's chief director. With a serious expression, she announces it's time to get down to business. She places a thick folder on her desk, its cover marked confidential. The folder slides across the table toward the four students. She reveals its contents, the script they will be performing for the new season. The director explains that while the world believes the cast is falling in love, the reality is completely different. Ama reads the script in disbelief, shocked by the sudden romantic developments she's assigned. The document reveals the truth. Popular members are forced into specific roles, making the entire show a fabrication. Haruma seems excited by the drama, while Aoshi immediately recognizes the forced love triangle. Ama, however, is completely swept up in the fantasy, getting flustered over her own harem storyline. She playfully poses between the two boys, declaring they'll both be hers, much to Aoshi's annoyance. She then turns to Aoshi, suggesting they take a photo together to commemorate the moment. But Asuka's expression is the complete opposite, her face hardening as she processes the script. The others notice her sudden shift in mood, a subtle but clear sign of her displeasure. The director turns to her, asking if she's ready to get back into character yet. The director's question hangs in the air. Does Asuka resent them for this? But Asuka forces a smile, apologizing and promising to act like a professional. She turns to Aoshi, confirming that their own feelings were never enough to keep them together. He can only offer a quiet, pained agreement. Aoshi remembers how he and Asuka were supposed to respect each other's genuine feelings. It was all part of the show's grand promise. A new season to find your fated love. That's how it was all supposed to work, at least in theory. His mind flashes back to the previous season, when he and Asuka were the show's official couple. He had fallen for her the moment they met, and the day their feelings became mutual was the best day of his life. But the show's producers refused to let their real relationship continue. He remembers the pain in her eyes as he was forced to tell her they couldn't be together. For the first time, he followed a script that wasn't his own and broke Asuka's heart. From that day forward, Aoshi swore that he would never truly fall in love again. And so, back in the present, he sits through another day of this fake high school life. But the monotony is shattered when a man in a top hat bursts in to announce a new cast member. Aoshi is genuinely confused. He thought all the members for this season were already here. An introduction. This dramatic has never happened before, and the class waits in anticipation. A new girl steps into the room, introducing herself as Karen Emilia Kisaragi. She explains her background, a transfer student from a German school, immediately setting her apart from the rest. The other students are immediately captivated, some even saying she's beautiful enough to join the 4 heavenly kings. The man in the top hat asks if she has any other special talents to share, but she simply states that she came to this show to fulfill her first love. Aoshi scoffs at the very idea, convinced that pure love doesn't exist here. Just then, Karen begins walking directly toward his desk. Her gaze is locked onto him with an unwavering intensity. Her brilliant blonde hair and fair skin seem to captivate everyone who looks at her. Aoshi feels a strange pull, a sense that getting any closer would be a point of no return. She stops right in front of him, and he can only stammer in surprise. With tears welling in her eyes, she confesses that he is the one she came here for, her first love. With a determined blush, she tells him that she loves him, and asks him to please make her his girlfriend. She waits for his answer, her heart on her sleeve, wondering if this is truly happening. But Aoshi can only stare in shock, his own cynical words echoing in his mind. This had to be a lie, another part of the act it was supposed to be. The entire class, along with the cameras, watches the scene unfold. The other students are completely stunned by the sudden confession. Even the crew seems caught off guard, questioning if this was in the script. Aoshi looks down for a moment, a strange resolve settling on his face. But before he can respond, the director slams her clapperboard, yelling for them to cut the scene. But Karen struggles against the crew, insisting she still needs to hear Aoshi's answer. Before she can say another word, a door slams shut, separating them. Aoshi is left completely dumbfounded by the sudden turn of events. The rest of the class can only stare in confusion, wondering what just happened. Sometime later, Karen is seen leaving the principal's office after a long talk. She looks completely dejected, having received a harsh lecture from the director. As she turns a corner in the hallway, her eyes suddenly widen in surprise. Aoshi is standing right there, offering her a casual wave. He asks her why she seems so shocked to see him, but she can only blush, completely flustered by the unexpected meeting. He remarks that it's no surprise given the courage it took to call him out. She playfully asks how much it would cost to get his attention, a joke he quickly dismisses. She then asks if he overheard her talk with the director, but he says he wasn't interested. Instead, he wants to give her an answer to the confession she made earlier. With a determined blush, she braces herself and agrees to listen. He decides this isn't the right place for their conversation, and suggests they find somewhere more private to talk. He leads her to the school's rooftop, a place with a much better view. Gesturing to a bench, he invites her to take a seat with him. She sits down, her hands clasped nervously as she waits for him to speak. She nervously admits she's a fan of the show, worried she's messing everything up. Aoshi can only let out a weary sigh in response. He tells her that she ruined the shoot by going rogue, reminding her that this is a team effort. Karen looks down, apologizing and saying she understands the rules are important. She even explains that her German upbringing taught her to respect them. He stands over her, questioning why she would break them so dramatically then. But with a determined look, she says she couldn't just be a good girl any longer. Because when she saw him on the show, she knew she didn't want anyone else to have him. Her feelings are so strong that she can't help but imagine a real future with him. And Aoshi realizes this isn't an act. It's the purest confession he's ever heard. He looks away, telling her he needs some time to think about her confession. Karen is completely taken aback, asking what he could possibly mean. He explains that giving her a vague answer would just be disrespectful. So he offers the worst possible response, to start as friends and see where it goes. The weight of his words seems to hit her all at once. Aoshi calls himself a terrible person, telling her to just forget him and find a new love. But with a gentle smile, she agrees to his terms, promising that she will wait. Her unwavering acceptance leaves him completely speechless. She then asks if they can at least exchange contact information. Overjoyed, she thanks him and promises to cherish their new connection. Aoshi sits alone on a bench, the weight of their conversation settling in. He receives a cheerful message from Karen, thanking him for the day. Looking at her text, he decides to make a bold move of his own. He invites her to his apartment after the next shoot. But the moment he sends it, he's filled with instant regret, sure he's just ruined everything. Suddenly, another message notification catches his attention. Sometime later, he finds himself summoned to a different part of the school. Ima greets him with a playful wink, welcoming him to her private room. Aoshi, completely unimpressed, immediately asks if he can leave. He glances around the luxurious space, a special dressing room just for the show's top stars. She boasts that she simply asked the principal for it, suggesting he could do the same. But Aoshi wants no part of it, refusing to be indebted to her in any way. He cuts to the chase, asking what she wants from him. Ima explains that she wanted to discuss their plans for the upcoming shoot. Aoshi listens with a hint of suspicion in his eyes. She then closes the door, telling him that no one else will be bothering them. A sudden sense of danger washes over him, a feeling he can't quite explain. Before he can react, her hand shoots out and grabs his chin. She leans in close, whispering that in this day and age, men can be harassed too. The sudden, aggressive move leaves Aoshi completely flustered and tense. She laughs at his flustered state, finding his genuine reaction incredibly cute. For a split second, Aoshi seems to have actually gotten his hopes up. But he quickly recovers, turning the tables by asking if she's ready for him to truly fall for her. The question catches her off guard, and she admits that would be a real problem. Her honest, flustered response leaves Aoshi momentarily stunned. He suggests they sit down to talk, and she apologizes for the simple furniture. But Aoshi just smiles, remarking that being with a girl like her is the best kind of trouble a guy can find. His unexpected charm leaves her blushing and at a loss for words. She finally gets to the point, nervously bringing up how they're scripted to be a couple this season. He immediately senses her unease, asking if she's insecure about him being her partner. She clarifies that's not what she meant at all, her feet fidgeting nervously. With a deep blush, she admits that she's afraid she'll fall for him for real, beyond her own control. Her sudden honesty leaves Aoshi completely stunned. She explains that she's always been the one to fall in love the most on this show, no matter who her partner was. For her, even a fake love eventually becomes real within the confines of the program. It's a game where feelings are treated like play money, easily discarded when the day is done. And that, she says, is what our season has always been to her. But this time she has a feeling that it won't just be a game anymore. Aoshi listens in silence, processing her heartfelt confession. He realizes she's mastered the art of surviving this fake world, a skill he has yet to learn. Aoshi admits that he's already overwhelmed by her, feeling completely outmatched. Emma continues, explaining that it's because Aoshi is caught completely off guard by her reasoning. She tells him she already knows too much, and if they keep this up, they won't be able to remain just friends. He throws his hands up in surrender, completely at a loss for what to do. A small, satisfied smile plays on her lips. She praises him for understanding her so well, clearly pleased with his reaction. She then poses a question, asking if he has any resistance to seeing her as more than just a castmate. Leaning in close, she challenges him directly, their faces just inches apart. She tells him that today is the day their friendship can finally cross the line into something more. Aoshi, completely overwhelmed, asks what she means by that. But she just offers a cryptic, knowing smile. Then she suddenly cheers, suggesting they eat snacks and get to know each other. The abrupt change in topic leaves Aoshi utterly bewildered. He collapses to the floor, letting out a long, exhausted sigh. Ima leans over him with concern as he blames her for his stress. She playfully teases him, asking if he was expecting something more romantic. Changing the subject again, she apologizes and asks what kind of candy he likes. Aoshi tells her he doesn't care what kind she gives him, still recovering on the floor. She then offers him her favorite flavor, telling him to close his eyes and guess. He reluctantly agrees, not seeing where this is going. But instead of giving him the candy, she closes the distance between them. Her hand gently cups his cheek as she kisses him. Catching Aoshi completely and utterly by surprise, she pulls back, revealing she had passed the candy from her mouth to his. The move leaves him completely speechless, his mind racing to catch up. With a triumphant look, she tells him that their friendship is officially over. Because now they finally crossed that line, she whispers that they're no longer just friends. With a playful wink, she asks if he enjoyed the candy. Still in a daze, Aoshi mutters that he might not like that flavor. She smiles, telling him he can just spit it out if he doesn't like it. But instead of backing away, he suddenly grabs her by the arm. He pulls her in close, refusing to let the candy go to waste. He tells her that whether it's work or their daily lives, he never wastes anything. And with that, he returns the kiss with a surprising intensity. The tables have completely turned as he takes the lead. He pulls back, a single tear escaping as he says they can finish it together. She teases him, saying the taste of a kiss is nothing like the taste of candy. Aoshi pulls back, a bit stunned by her forwardness. He asks if she disliked it, but she quickly shakes her head. No. Instead, she looks up with a deep blush, admitting she wants more. He looks down at her, realizing the candy is still in his mouth. And without another word, he leans in to kiss her again. Sometime later, Emma stretches out, feeling completely refreshed. She remarks on how nice it is to be so close with a handsome guy, while Aoshi looks on, annoyed. As they leave, she wonders aloud if this is how it feels to leave a hotel with someone. Her provocative comment leaves Aoshi completely flustered, telling her not to say such things so loudly. She then teases him, claiming she heard a rumor that he's a total playboy, which makes him instantly defensive. But she quickly dismisses it as a joke, a soft blush on her cheeks. In fact, she thinks he's quite the gentleman, despite how forward he was just moments ago. It reminds her of something her mother used to say about looking at beautiful things, that no matter how lovely the product, you're not supposed to touch. He then asks if that means it was okay for her to touch him, leaving her completely flustered. She just winks playfully, telling him that's a secret. Later, he sees her off, telling her to be careful on her way home. She thanks him for listening and waves goodbye with a bright smile. As she leaves, the city seems to settle into a quiet stillness. Aoshi reflects on the whirlwind of a day he's just had. Karen's confession was a stark reminder of a purity he'd long since forgotten. While Ima's actions only highlighted his own inadequacy in this fake world, he looks out over the city, questioning if any of his actions were the right ones. For someone who has become so adept at lying about his own feelings, he wonders if he'll ever truly understand what's real anymore. He finally arrives at his apartment and rings the buzzer. Opening the door, he apologizes for making his guest wait. A dark-haired girl greets him with a warm smile, welcoming him home. He offers her the box he's carrying, but she just asks where he's been. He stammers, trying to explain that he was just running some errands. But she just stares back, her expression unreadable. Her eyes then catch a small mark on the side of his neck. A knowing smile spreads across her face as she correctly guesses he was with Ima. He realizes with horror that it's a kiss mark, which explains the strange looks he got earlier. She calmly states that a transgression like this requires a proper punishment. Before he can protest, she grabs his arm and pulls him inside. She turns back with a blush, telling him to come with her. He finds himself being led directly into the bedroom. Her expression is a mix of determination and something far more intimate. She softly tells him to lie down. He tries to calm her, promising that he isn't going anywhere. With a deep blush, she admits she was lonely waiting for him to come home. Aoshi apologizes, blaming himself for making her feel that way. He sits on the bed, telling her she can do whatever she wants. She quietly thanks him, accepting his surrender. But his eyes widen in surprise as she suddenly pushes him down. She looks down at him, her expression a mix of shyness and determination. Her hand slowly moves to his shirt, beginning to unbutton it. And with a soft smile, she whispers that she won't hold back. Her fingers work their way down his shirt, one button at a time. He tries to object, mentioning he hasn't even showered yet. But she tells him she can't bear to wait another second. She doesn't care who he was with as long as it wasn't Asuka. Leaning over him, she then asks him to do the same for her. The bold request leaves Aoshi completely stunned. Taking matters into her own hands, she reaches for the ribbon on her blouse. And with a soft breath, she begins to untie it. She playfully asks if he prefers it when she leaves the ribbon on. His heart pounds in his chest, completely overwhelmed by her. Asuka softly calls out Aoshi's name, her voice filled with anticipation. She looks up at him with a deep blush, asking him not to make her wait any longer. Aoshi's hand fumbles with the buttons of her shirt, apologizing as he promises to be quick. He feels a surge of nervousness, completely overwhelmed by Asuka's captivating charm. Asuka leans over him, her body pressing closer as the moment intensifies. She confesses that she can no longer hold back her feelings for him. Burying her face in his shoulder, she remarks on the slightly salty taste, hinting at the raw emotion. With her eyes closed, she admits that she might just get addicted to this feeling. Aoshi looks up, a hint of frustration in his eyes, remembering his earlier desire to shower. Asuka looks down at him, directly asking if she is better than Emma. With a soft smile, Aoshi gives her the answer she was hoping for. The simple confirmation is enough to bring fresh tears to her eyes. She whispers his name, her hands gently holding his face. Her mind flashes back to the day he was forced to reject her confession. She tearfully admits that even then, she couldn't give up on her first love. Aoshi confesses that he felt the same, but the show's script forced his hand. She says she knew what she was signing up for when she joined the program, but she still wants him to take responsibility for shattering her first love. A memory of that day confirms her heart was completely broken, and so she declares that from now on he will be her slave. She whispers that from now on, their relationship will be their own dark secret, because he is the only one who knows the real her, not the pure girl she pretends to be. With a deep blush, she asks if they should do something even more forbidden together. But their intimate moment is shattered by the sudden ringing of the doorbell. Aoshi looks toward the door, asking Asuka to go and see who it is. The unexpected request seems to catch her completely by surprise, but she quickly agrees. willing to do anything that he asks of her. She opens the door, only to be met with a truly shocking sight. Her confident expression immediately crumbles into nervous disbelief, because standing right there is none other than Karen Kisaragi. Asuka stammers out Karen's name, her composure completely gone. Karen looks back in disbelief, asking what Asuka is doing at Aoshi's apartment. Asuka tries to laugh it off, nervously suggesting she must have the wrong place. But her excuse is cut short when Aoshi appears from behind her. He steps into the doorway, asking what all the commotion is about. Karen's eyes widen as the devastating truth of the situation dawns on her. With tears in her eyes, she calls out his name, her voice filled with betrayal. Unable to face them, she turns and runs away from the apartment. Aoshi watches her leave, telling Asuka he thought this would make Karen finally give up. But Asuka just smiles, realizing he set this up and calling him a very bad boy. He remembers telling Karen not to waste any more of her time on him. A memory of the two girls on set. A perfect picture of manufactured friendship. Back in the present, Asuka asks if he has any regrets about what he just did. Meanwhile, Karen wonders if Aoshi will finally listen to her now that she's no longer just the hot new thing. His mind then drifts to a different moment with Asuka, playfully warning her not to get involved with fans. The simple gesture seems to catch her completely off guard. He walks away, admitting that she's the only one he can be completely honest with. Asuka is stunned, saying he's never let her see this much of his true self. He reminds her of their promise not to become a real couple until everything is over. A wave of relief washes over her, realizing he didn't just reach out to play with her heart. He tells himself that in his current state, he lacks the sincerity to be with her. But she just leans against him, completely content in his arms. She reassures him that she understands his kindness, even if he had to hurt Karen. He realizes she sees a sincerity in him that he can't find in himself, and he admits that without her, he feels completely useless. She looks up at him with a soft blush, asking if he truly likes her. He holds her close, finally confessing that he loves her. A gentle smile plays on her lips as she says, he's always been this way. He reflects on the day, realizing he's been with two different girls and feels like the worst kind of person. This is his life, playing the part of Ima's lover for the show, while loving Asuka in secret. Karen's heartbroken face fills the screen as she wonders how Aoshi must have seen her in that moment. Meanwhile, on the school rooftop, another girl sits alone taking a smoke break. She seems completely detached from the drama unfolding below. But her solitude is interrupted by a familiar voice, chiding her for smoking. She retorts that she's old enough, recognizing the newcomer as the infamous playboy, Aoshi. This is Wakaba Torikoshi, the show's oldest and most experienced member. A veteran who uses her connections to sell secrets about the other cast members. Aoshi asks if she's here on business, but she quickly tells him to drop the act. He admits that today, he just felt like skipping out on his duties for once. Wakaba listens quietly, a silent understanding passing between the two veterans. She asks about the love triangle he's scripted to be in, remarking on how calm he seems. He confirms that he already knew, which is precisely why it's so simple for him. His plan is to focus all of his attention on Ima for the entire season, which is why he's refusing to participate in the upcoming Cinderella Seek event. It's a popular segment where the boys search for girls hidden throughout the school, hoping for a fateful encounter. Wakaba can't believe his attitude, insisting that an event like this is a huge opportunity to stand out. She laments that a good life is waiting for her, if only she could afford it. Aoshi dryly notes that she's wasting her unique voice when she's not selling secrets. Her expression shifts, a hint of seriousness returning to her eyes. She then asks if there's truly any value in sacrificing yourself for fame and money. A quiet breeze blows across the school rooftop. Wakaba admits that she doesn't have a simple answer to her own question, but she knows that everyone is desperately chasing money, fame, and a better life. And that, she says, is precisely why everyone at this school is selling off their youth. Aoshi can only agree, having already accepted that harsh reality. It's the luxurious, hollow problem that comes with being a popular member. Wakaba then decides to change the subject, a glint in her eye. She asks him about the rumor that he's already made a move on the new transfer student. Aoshi remarks on how fast information travels, as Wakaba notes that Karen is almost too beautiful for this place. With a cold smile, he admits he only did it to make her understand the truth and finally give up. Wakaba comically judges him for his actions, and Aoshi can only agree with her harsh assessment. He points out that she's no different, selling secrets about other people's love lives, but she refuses to be compared to him. He reminds her that Karen came to the show specifically for him, a fact that complicates everything. Wakaba listens intently, her expression shifting as she considers his words. She clarifies that she's not on anyone's side, but offers him a single piece of advice. With a serious look, she warns him that there's something very strange about Karen Kisaragi. The sudden warning catches Aoshi completely off guard. She explains that while information on new members is valuable, she couldn't find a single thing on Karen. The new girl's entire background and profile are a complete mystery, a situation she's never encountered before. But Aoshi just dismisses her concern, insisting that it doesn't matter since he's already cut ties with her. She muses that in a battlefield like this, you never know what will happen, especially when it comes to the unpredictable nature of love. Just then, her phone begins to buzz with an incoming call. She answers it, demanding to know what's going on. As she listens, her expression grows more and more serious. She then turns to Aoshi, telling him some interesting news just broke. With a sly smile, she says this piece of information is on the house. Whatever she told him sends Aoshi sprinting through the school hallways. He can't believe what he's just heard, that Karen is going on a rampage. Back on the rooftop, Wakaba confirms she has no intention of getting involved. She sends him off, telling the prince that his Cinderella is waiting. He sprints through the school, wondering why Karen would do this. After the utter humiliation he put her through, he finally finds her standing alone in the gym. She asks if he still has feelings for her, even after everything. Turning around with a gentle smile, she thanks him for coming to find her. But Aoshi is on high alert, demanding to know what she's planning. He remembers the show's rule about calling members by their first names during filming. Karen asks if he really thought things would be over between them after what happened. She wonders if he truly believed that seeing him with Asuka would be enough to make her feelings disappear. She tells him he should despise her for the pain she's put him through, just as much as she hated him on that fateful night. And now, she declares, it's time for him to accept her revenge. She suddenly grabs his tie, pulling him in with surprising force. She whispers that this footage can never be aired. Aoshi realizes with dawning horror that his entire scripted love triangle is about to collapse. Leaning in closer, she tells him not to run away. He can only shut his eyes, completely overwhelmed by her move. He finally understands that this is her form of revenge, but in a quiet moment she admits to herself that she's just a coward. With her eyes closed and cheeks flushed, she leans in closer, but instead of a kiss, she only brushes against his cheek. The gentle, unexpected touch leaves Aoshi completely frozen. She pulls back with a soft smile, declaring that her first kiss is reserved for him, a statement that leaves our boy utterly speechless. She clarifies that it will only happen once their feelings are truly mutual. Aoshi tries to tell her to reconsider, insisting that her feelings are a mistake, but she refuses to let him belittle her first love so easily. He remembers trying to push her away, telling her there are better men than him, but Karen's resolve is absolute. She insists that he is the only one for her. She admits that since this is her first love, she doesn't know what else to do. The only thing she can do is trust her feelings and move forward, so she declares once more that she loves him, and that will never change. Her sudden, unscripted confession echoes through the gymnasium. The entire camera crew can only stare, completely stunned by the raw emotion. Her mind flashes back to the night he invited her over, knowing it was likely a trap. But she went anyway, having steeled her resolve for whatever might happen, all because he was the one who completely ruined her first love. He betrayed her and trampled on her feelings, so she came to give him a scar that would last a lifetime. And even though her revenge didn't go as planned, she tells him it serves him right. But despite his cold logic and cruel actions, she admits that her heart still longs for him more than anyone she's ever met. Just being this close, feeling his warmth, is enough to bring her a strange sense of joy. She doesn't care if he's just a scumbag using her for his own reasons, or if she's just a convenient girl he plans to throw away. It doesn't even matter if he already loves someone else. She begs him to please make her his girlfriend, even if it's all just a lie. But his answer is a cold and distant rejection, telling her he can't be her boyfriend. He can't even look at her as he says the words, a bead of sweat on his neck. Her eyes widen in disbelief, calling him a liar after everything that's happened. But then, Aoshi pulls her into a tight embrace, leaving her to wonder why. He whispers that for the first time, he feels like he's truly reached her heart. A quiet resolve settles in his eyes as he makes a decision. She tells him that if there's still any chance for them to be together, then he must invite her on a special date during the upcoming free throw competition. Sometime later, Haruma cheers Aoshi on during the basketball event, but Aoshi can only think about Karen's bold request for a special two-shot date. This event is a mandatory part of the show where the girls get to ask a boy out. According to the script, Haruma is supposed to face off against Ima and ultimately lose. But Haruma tells him to play for real, because if he doesn't win, he'll just be Ayoshi's pawn. Haruma sinks a basket, playfully asking Aoshi when he developed such a mean streak. But another girl reminds them that Aoshi couldn't even stand on stage for a while after last summer. The sudden comment clearly catches our boy completely off guard. Haruma quickly diffuses the tension, saying he's just excited to be working with Aoshi again. Aoshi grips the basketball, his focus returning to the game at hand. With a hopeful smile, Haruma suggests that with Aoshi's power, they might be able to change the script. The idea seems to resonate with Aoshi, a flicker of something in his eyes. But internally, he admits he has no intention of changing their predetermined future. All the while, the cameras continue to roll, capturing every moment for the show. He takes a moment to himself, knowing he has to get back before filming begins again. But his thoughts are interrupted by a nearby conversation. He peeks around the corner to see a group of other male cast members scheming. They've decided that whoever wins the game will ask Karen out on a date. The winner will then split the prize money with the others. Aoshi realizes they're ganging up on the new girl who has no allies. They're exploiting a rule that says a new member can't refuse a special date request. The group smirks, confident that manipulating the pure newcomer will be simple. But Aoshi has seen this kind of despicable tactic countless times before. A surge of anger makes him crush the plastic bottle in his hand. The sudden noise startles the other boys, who realize Aoshi has heard everything. He steps out from the corner, a cold smile on his face as he confirms he heard everything. The others try to brush him off, reminding him that filming is about to resume. Normally, he would have just ignored a scene like this, but something inside him has shifted. With a surge of genuine anger, he declares that he's going to crush every single one of them. Because a girl as pure as Karen Kisaragi is far too good for a group of scumbags like them. Back in the gymnasium, the free throw competition is about to begin. Aoshi calls out to Haruma, who's getting ready for the game. He tells his friend that he's had a change of heart and needs his help today. Haruma agrees with a confident smile, happy to see the fire back in his friend's eyes. And with a newfound resolve, Aoshi steps onto the court, ready to play for real. He and Haruma move as one, taking their shots in perfect unison. Their teamwork pays off as both basketballs sink through the net. Emma watches from the sidelines, completely captivated by their performance. The other boys can only watch in disbelief, their scheme completely falling apart. Soon, only Aoshi and Haruma are left, with the script dictating that Haruma must lose. But Haruma tells him it's fine if Aoshi wants to steal Emma away from him. Aoshi is caught off guard, as Haruma explains their scripted romance is meaningless anyway. He knows that once they move into the entertainment world, a relationship would just hold them back. With a quiet understanding, Aoshi announces that it's finally his turn. He raises the ball, ready to defy the script and win the game. But at the last second, his shot bounces off the rim, missing the basket entirely. Haruma is completely stunned by the unexpected failure. Aoshi just laughs it off as exhaustion, but Haruma asks if he missed on purpose. With a quiet smile, Aoshi tells him that he wants to see his friend decide the story's outcome. Haruma hesitates, asking if it's really okay for him to win and go against the script. He knows that if he misses, everything will go according to plan, but he wonders who he should even ask out. His eyes land on Karen, who watches with clasped hands, waiting for Aoshi's true feelings to be revealed. A crew member holds up a sign, reminding the winner to choose a girl for a date. With a newfound resolve, Haruma takes his shot and the ball sinks perfectly through the net. And without a moment's hesitation, he calls out Karen's name. Haruma asks if she will go on a special two-shot date with him. The sudden request leaves Karen completely stunned. She can only cover her mouth, her mind racing to process his words. Haruma recalls seeing her as a pure light in this fake, messy world, and feeling an undeniable urge to reach out to her. With a soft smile and a deep blush, Karen happily accepts his offer. But as Haruma leads her away, she glances back at Aoshi with a worried look. In her mind, she hears him calling out, begging her not to abandon him. The moment reminds her of their first date, when he tried to calm her nerves. She remembers the simple kindness in his voice as he tried to distract her. Karen and Haruma's date begins at a traditional-looking street, and she's immediately swept up in the festival-like atmosphere. She agrees with a happy blush, completely lost in the moment. But her mind drifts back to another time, another date. She remembers Aoshi telling her not to be so nervous just because the cameras were rolling. She had asked if it was really okay for her to just enjoy herself. And with a gentle smile, he'd told her it was better that way, more like the real her. His simple, kind words had left her completely flustered. But then he'd turned away, his attention shifting back to the cameras. A crew member held up a sign giving them a simple direction: hold hands. She had always just followed the script, but for some reason, that day felt different. Aoshi is completely caught off guard by her sudden move. Her hand suddenly reaches out and takes his. The unscripted gesture leaves him completely stunned. With a determined blush, she pulls him along, telling him they should go. The sudden deviation from the script sends the camera crew into a panic. She pulls him away from the set, running off on their own. The crowd watches in confusion as they leave the film crew completely behind. Back in the present, the festival is so lively that the sounds of the crowd drown everything else out. Haruma finds himself completely captivated, unable to look away from her. He's so taken with her that he's already jealous of the person who gets to be her real boyfriend. She worries that if she keeps this up, she'll get in trouble, but Haruma just calmly agrees. With a playful wink, she asks if he'll be there to face the consequences with her. He declares that of course he will, since he has the right to blame any failed date on her. His bold, almost theatrical response leaves her completely stunned. But a shared smile breaks the tension, a genuine moment between the two. She apologizes for catching him off guard, a bright smile on her face. He jokes that for a moment, he thought she'd been replaced by someone else entirely. Her mind then flashes back to the gym, asking Aoshi why he protected their promise. He looks away, dismissing his actions as simply getting swept up in the moment. But she just smiles, a quiet understanding in her expression as she accepts his answer. She admits that she's not the good girl he might think she is, because there are some things she's simply unwilling to give up. And she needs the person she likes to know the real her. With a determined blush, she asks Aoshi to see her for who she truly is. He can only wonder if he's really the right person for her. But she insists that he's the only one in the world she wants. Her unwavering confession leaves him completely stunned. With a playful wink, she declares that their secret date is only just beginning. Her mind then flashes to their first date, when he told her how good she looked in her yukata. He had teased her about eating too much, but she was just captivated by the festival food. He points out at the distant view, trying to make their escape feel like a real date. They walk hand in hand up a sun-drenched staircase, away from the cameras. He quietly warns her that it's only a matter of time before the crew finds them, but she just wants some proof that this dreamlike moment they're sharing is real. Her earnest words leave him completely flustered. He agrees, suggesting they take a photo to capture the memory. She playfully puffs out her cheeks, declaring that a good photo is as important as a good sausage. A small, genuine smile crosses his face as he finds her personality truly interesting. He holds up his phone to take the picture, and she happily agrees. And for a brief, perfect moment, they capture a memory that feels entirely their own. He looks down at the picture on his phone, a quiet, genuine smile gracing his lips. Karen is completely lost in the moment, a blissful blush on her face. She had even said she wanted to make it her phone's wallpaper. Normally, any photos taken on a date are immediately sent to the production crew, but Aoshi decides that this one will be a secret, just for the two of them. The silence that follows is a little awkward, as neither one knows what to say. But Karen breaks it, telling him with heartfelt sincerity that he's a good person. The unexpected praise leaves Aoshi completely speechless. He finally suggests they should head back, and she reluctantly agrees. As they walk back, the sounds of the festival fade, replaced by the reality of the film set. They're immediately met by the crew, bowing in apology for their unscripted detour. The director tells them to pull themselves together and prepare to resume filming. For the final scene, they're instructed to share their honest feelings about the date. Karen begins her scripted lines, explaining how she'd never really interacted with Japanese people before. She admits that applying for the show was a decision that made her tremble with fear, but she's glad she found the courage, because it led to this dreamlike day with him. And just as the emotion peaks, the director's voice yells for them to cut. The moment the cameras are off, Karen turns to him, eagerly asking for his real thoughts. But his day is far from over, as a familiar voice calls his name from a nearby pool. Aoshi turns in surprise, his expression frozen. It's Emma, standing under the lights in a swimsuit, offering a casual apology to Karen. With a playful wink, she suggests that Aoshi should go on a date with her instead. The sudden interruption leaves both Aoshi and Karen completely stunned. But Karen's eyes harden as she declares that she's borrowing Aoshi for now. Aoshi can only stand there in silence, caught in the middle of their rivalry. Emma just smiles, repeating her offer for a date with a confident look. Aoshi had thought his time with Karen would be simple, but he'd seen a side of her he never expected. But this chaotic interruption threatens to derail everything. Emma pulls him away with a cheerful smile, telling him it's time to go. Emma tells Aoshi he has no choice in the matter, leaving Karen to watch them go. She declares that summer is all about swimsuits and having fun. And so, Aoshi finds himself on a beach date with Emma, just as the script intended. He can only accept his role, to walk along the shore with her. The other guys on the beach can only look on in envy, remarking that he has it all. Emma, meanwhile, is completely lost in the moment, overjoyed to be by the sea. She clenches her fists, filled with an almost overwhelming excitement. Leaning in close, she playfully asks why he seems so flustered by her sudden attack. She teases him about his blush, asking if he's feeling a certain way about her. He tries to change the subject, asking if she just wants to keep walking along the beach. With a determined blush, she says she has an idea. She points to a nearby rental shop, excitedly suggesting they go surfing. Aoshi starts to suggest they get 2 boards, but she leans in close. With a playful blush, she tells him that 1 board will be more than enough for the 2 of them. Her bold suggestion leaves Aoshi completely flustered. Sometime later, they paddle out into the ocean, the shore a distant line behind them. She apologizes for dragging him out here so suddenly, but says she needed to confirm something. With a serious look, she asks if he knows what she's talking about. She wanted to confirm the feelings that exist between the 2 of them. But the serious mood is shattered as she pouts, complaining that he's not being romantic at all, while Aoshi insists he can't get between her and Haruma. She pouts, explaining that she's already in character as his second choice. Aoshi then asks her how things are really going between her and Haruma. With a soft blush, she admits their scripted romance doesn't make her heart race at all. Hearing her talk about Haruma makes Aoshi feel an unexpected pang of jealousy. His genuine reaction seems to catch her completely by surprise. She playfully teases him, saying it was worth it just to see that side of him. But she admits that lately, her attention has been focused more on Aoshi. The direct comment leaves our boy completely flustered. Leaning in close, she suddenly puts him on the spot, asking about his relationship with Karen. Aoshi's expression hardens, realizing the real conversation has just begun. He admits that when choosing his special date, he was genuinely torn between her and Karen. The honest confession seems to catch her completely by surprise, but he explains that he'd already promised Karen he would ask her out next. So Emma asks him directly what he truly wants to do about the other girl. Aoshi admits he doesn't know yet, only that Karen has somehow made a place for herself in his heart. He thinks back to their own connection, a relationship born from a single kiss with an unknown future. Emma looks down, a quiet understanding settling on her face. He realizes that if he'd been on the receiving end of Karen's date, he would have been just as charmed. He suddenly asks for another chance, promising that next time he'll make things right. But she just leans in close, whispering his name with a secretive smile. With a deep blush, she reminds him that she and Haruma have already kissed. And if he keeps hesitating, she'll end up becoming Haruma's for real. Aoshi understands this is all just a scripted punishment, a killer pass from Emma. All he has to do is play the part of a boy shaken by this revelation. He steels himself to carry out this mechanical, manufactured version of youth. But before he can act, their time is suddenly up. The playful mood shatters as Emma suddenly slips and falls into the water. Aoshi cries out her name in a panic, his scripted composure completely gone as he searches the waves. Emma struggles to stay afloat, crying out that the water is too deep for her to stand. Without a second thought, Aoshi reaches out to save her. He grabs her hand, pulling her toward him with all his strength. But as he pulls her close, he realizes her feet can touch the bottom. She looks up at him with a blush, admitting that she tricked him. With a playful wink, she explains it was the only way to get him to touch her. She admits she used the waves as an excuse and even took advantage of his own script. He holds her close, confessing that he was genuinely worried about her. She's surprised he would respond to her reckless move, calling herself a princess in this moment. Aoshi looks away, admitting that when it comes to her, he always loses. Emma just smiles, declaring that she's the strongest girl there is when it comes to love. She then asks for a private word, just between the 2 of them. She asks if he was thinking about Karen when he fell, which is why he couldn't grab her hand. Aoshi is stunned that she saw through him so easily. She calls out his name, her expression unreadable. He asks her not to bring up such trivial matters between them, but she doesn't understand what he means by that. She explains that it would be a waste to be so ordinary. Just because you fall for one person, she says, doesn't mean you can't love another. He asks if she's serious, wondering if it's really okay for him to fall for both her and Karen. She just smiles, reminding him that in this world, they aren't pure. They're beasts. She holds him close, admitting that even after kissing another man, being in Aoshi's arms feels incredible. He leans in, reminding her of the promise they made. With a deep blush, she tells him she wants to make this a summer they'll never forget. And in the middle of the ocean, they share another kiss. They pull back, a silent acknowledgement passing between them that they've crossed yet another line. She admits that his kiss resonated deep within her, a feeling she can't ignore. The intensity of her confession leaves Aoshi completely flustered. As her hand tightens its grip on his chest, he looks down at her, trying to find the right words to say her name. But his expression turns cold as he asks if she's ready for him to leave a scar on her that will last a lifetime. A soft, satisfied smile plays on Aima's lips. She tells him it's fine if he wants to keep being unfaithful, as long as he's ready to fall for her for real. Later that night, back at Ayoshi's apartment building, Asuka gets his attention, asking if he has a moment. She explains that she wanted to play a game, but she's missing a chair. With a sly smile, she suggests his lap looks warm and comfortable enough. Before he can even process her words, she sits right down on his lap, leaving Aoshi completely stunned. She teases him, calling herself a chair so perfect he'll fall in love with it. And Aoshi completely melts, overwhelmed by how adorable his future girlfriend is. She whispers that she can hear his flustered reaction to her closeness. She tells him they can feel the warmth and heartbeat of their first love this way. The two of them then start playing a video game, which Asuka finds surprisingly difficult. She cries out in frustration as her character keeps falling off the track. Aoshi finds himself getting flustered just by the sound of her voice. And just like that, her game comes to an abrupt and unsuccessful end. She gets up from the couch and he asks if she's already finished playing, but she just picks up the remote, explaining that this was all part of her plan. She turns on the TV, revealing a dramatic scene from the show featuring him and Karen. Aoshi can only look back at her, a quiet question in his eyes. With a knowing smile, Asuka remarks on how much buzz this week's episode is getting. She admits she wasn't trying to ruin his moment with Karen, but was waiting for the perfect time to intervene. Aoshi is stunned, realizing she had been watching and waiting for the most effective moment to make her move. Her hand gently covers his as she notes how much more exciting the show is now. She asks if he agrees, adding that his expression says it all. Leaning in closer, she gets right in his face, a silent question in her eyes. She whispers, asking if something happened during his date with Karen. The direct question leaves Aoshi completely speechless. His mind flashes back to their date, when Karen had said everything was fine when they were just crossing the bridge. She had explained that on a walk like this, it's natural for a couple's sense of distance to change. Her hand gently cups his cheek as she calls out his name. She tells him that no matter how many fans he has, he can't fool his real girlfriend. Aoshi can only admit that she truly sees right through him, but Asuka admits that she's still a little shocked by what she saw on screen. She never knew he could show an expression like that to any other girl. A quiet jealousy settles in as she processes the scene. Aoshi tries to explain, saying he was planning to tell her everything, but she just looks down, a silent understanding on her face. He remembers Karen's confession in the gym, unsure why he even accepted it, and he recalls her asking him to keep their photo a secret, just for them. She admits that jealousy might be the first time she's truly understood him. He nervously asks if she's angry with him, but she just offers a cryptic, non-committal answer. With a deep blush, she tells him he should find out for himself. A silent resolve settles in his eyes. He suddenly reaches out and grabs her arm, pulling her in close with a surprising intensity. And without another word, he closes the distance between them. The moment hangs in the air as they finally pull apart. She then confesses that she already knew, having bought the information from Wakaba. She explains that if his story didn't match her intel, she was ready to punish him. Aoshi wonders if his date with Karen was a taste of heaven or hell. Asuka presses him, asking which one it was. He thought he had been forgiven for what happened with Karen, but he realizes he's only managed to hurt Asuka all over again. With a pained look, he admits it was heaven, wondering why he can't just cherish the one he loves. His raw honesty leaves Asuka completely stunned. A heavy silence hangs between them in the apartment. She then reaches for her phone, a new resolve in her eyes. And on the screen is the secret photo he took with Karen, the one he promised would be just for them. But Asuka counters by taking a photo of the two of them right then and there. Aoshi can only watch, completely bewildered by her sudden move. A quiet, satisfied smile plays on her lips as she reviews the picture. She then offers him a deal. If he promises this photo will be his new wallpaper, she'll forgive his transgression. He calls her generous offer a painful punishment, completely caught in her trap. A slight blush appears on her cheeks as she waits for his answer. She asks if this means he won't promise to stay away from Karen Kizaragi. He admits that leaving Karen alone would be a lie, but not for the reasons she thinks. But instead of arguing, she suddenly closes the distance between them and pulls him into a tight, unexpected embrace. She admits she might not be able to get along with Karen, but she'll try her best for his sake. She holds him tighter, a quiet desperation in her grip. With a deep blush, she asks him to hold her so tightly that she might just break. He realizes that their relationship is a hopelessly codependent one. She looks up at him, certain that he will still be there for her tomorrow. Oshi admits that he can't imagine a life without her either. Their first love has become a curse, binding them together in this fake world. Her hand gently touches his as she whispers his name. She confesses that's why she's so afraid, and she doesn't want to sleep just yet. and Aoshi can only offer a quiet, pained agreement. Their fingers intertwine, a silent confirmation of their tangled bond. He knows their relationship is built on a strange, miraculous balance, but she wonders what will happen when that balance finally breaks. His shirt falls to the floor, a silent answer to her question. She pushes him back onto the bed, taking the lead once more. She whispers that their first love has become something far more complicated. He can only wonder what will become of them in the end. Asuka closes her eyes, lost in the intimacy of the moment, and in the quiet of the room, they hold each other, bound by their secret. Her affection is an unhealthy, desperate thing, a silent plea in the dark. And Aoshi realizes that first love can sometimes become a beautiful poison. The next morning, he stretches out on the school rooftop, feeling surprisingly refreshed. But a familiar voice calls out, glad to see him looking so well. Aoshi turns around, his expression frozen in surprise. It's Wakaba, the rooftop observer, who greets him with a cheerful playboy. He can only greet her back, completely caught off guard by her presence. A flashback reveals she was the one who sold Asuka the information on him and Karen. He remembers the night before, feeling like he was about to be devoured by Asuka's affection. Back in the present, Wakaba asks what he means by that, but Aoshi offers no reply. Wakaba looks up from her phone, asking if he's really okay, since today's shoot is a big one. He agrees as she explains that today marks the start of the new season, complete with a popularity poll. The couple that fans most want to see together will win a special date and a close-up feature. Aoshi admits that's why he came to her, to get a leak on the results before the mandatory shoot. She just smiles, telling him he should have just said so from the start. He holds out his phone, ready to transfer the payment. She scoffs at his directness, telling him to call it an information fee instead. After the transaction, he asks her for the results. Wakaba reveals that, despite taking his money, the number one couple is actually Ima and Haruma. She takes a drag from her cigarette, remarking that their prize is a chartered cruise, a date far too lavish for any normal high schooler. The news seems to leave Aoshi with a hint of disappointment. He thanks her for the information and turns to leave, but she calls out for him to wait. She reminds him that he paid good money and should hear the rest of what she has to say. But Aoshi dismisses her, saying he has no interest in the details of their date. Wakaba calls him out, asking if he's secretly relieved by the results. He plays dumb, asking what she could possibly mean by that. She asks how long he plans to be content with being the immovable second choice. Aoshi feigns ignorance, claiming he doesn't understand what she's trying to say. Her eyes narrow as she prepares to spell it out for him. She explains that he's on the verge of his second big break, with a path forward with either Ima or Karen. She tells him this is his chance to prove he's not just a one-hit wonder, muttering a quiet insult under her breath. She lectures him about how opportunities aren't given to everyone, and he's wasting his by not reaching out. But Aoshi simply turns and begins to walk away. He explains that he already took a chance like that once, and in doing so, he lost a pure girl's love forever. He insists that Karen doesn't need to suffer the same fate, as she's the only one there living a genuine youth. But Wakaba tells him that from her perspective, he still looks like he's struggling desperately. He corrects her, saying he's not struggling, he's drowning, and will soon be just like everyone else who has sold their youth. A small, knowing smile plays on her lips. She then tells him that this popularity poll is going to be a little different. The sudden change in topic leaves Aoshi completely confused. She explains that because of their unexpected popularity, the second-place couple will also be getting a prize. Aoshi can only stare in disbelief at the sudden news. Wakaba reveals that he and Karen have won a special trial cohabitation. With a playful wink, she congratulates the show's second-favorite playboy. Aoshi immediately takes off, sprinting down the hallway with a new sense of urgency. He knows that he's the only one who can do something about this. His destination is the one place where decisions are made, the principal's office. He bursts through the door without a second thought, ready for a confrontation. But the director just greets him calmly, saying she was about to call for him anyway. She remarks on the farce he's created, but admits it will make for some very exciting television. He tells her she has a real talent for getting on his nerves, but she just tells him not to get so worked up before the real explanation. Aoshi demands to know why he's being forced to live with Karen. The director plays dumb, claiming she can't just predict poll results. He calls her out, asking where the rule about a second-place prize came from. She explains that in business, you have to invest in a rising star when you see one. Aoshi can only ask what she's truly planning. With a sly smile, she says she's just making sure their youth doesn't go to waste. She then changes the subject, remembering something she needed to give him. And from her desk, she pulls out the key to their new shared apartment. She then reveals the new script, a special edition just for him and Karen. He realizes that his actions have dragged the pure-hearted girl into this dark, fake world. And if he accepts this, he won't just be hurting Asuka, but everyone else as well. He makes his choice, declaring that he has no need for another script. The director seems intrigued, asking what he could possibly mean. She wonders aloud if her judgment of the situation has been mistaken. Aoshi remembers Karen's words, how she refused to be bound by a script when her heart was involved. The director asks if he's suggesting they just stand by and watch the birth of a new star. A quiet resolve settles in his eyes. He clarifies that he will accept just one of the scripts she's offered, and with it, he will take the lead and guide Karen through this himself. He knows that instead of stopping her, he was inspired by her chaos. He promises that this time he won't make the same mistake again. A small, knowing smile spreads across the director's face. She seems impressed by his boldness, remarking on how much he's grown. Aoshi tells her he's no longer a caged bird, simply repeating lines. The director agrees to his terms, accepting his proposal completely. She pushes the script back across the desk, and with a decisive rip, she destroys the old plan, putting her faith in him. The director thanks him, seemingly satisfied with his newfound resolve. But she warns him not to get complacent, telling him to hide the script he's chosen. Her words are cut short by a knock at the door, and she invites the person in. Aoshi turns to see Karen standing in the doorway, her eyes wide with surprise. The director explains that she called them both here for a very specific reason. Karen nervously asks what the principal could possibly want with the two of them. With a knowing smile, the director says she has something important to give them. She places a single key on the desk, explaining it's for the share house they'll be living in. Karen is immediately overjoyed, suggesting they go check it out before filming begins. She admits that getting a key like this feels almost too real, and the director can only agree. The director explains that their trial cohabitation will last for 3 days, with special events already planned. She then ushers them out, saying their future will be decided at a sacred ground for confessions. Aoshi immediately objects, realizing this is a major event meant for the season finale. But she dismisses his concerns, explaining this is just a temporary pairing based on viewer demand. She then pushes them out the door, telling them their future is entirely in their own hands. The stage has been set, she says, and the choice of what to do next is theirs alone. Her final words echo in the hallway, telling them she expects the greatest youth they can deliver. And with that, the door closes, leaving them alone in the quiet hallway. Aoshi can only think about how he's dragged Karen into this mess after all. Karen quietly calls out his name, unsure of what they're supposed to do now. A soft blush spreads across her face as she looks down, before eagerly suggesting they go check out their new place right away. But Aoshi's expression is filled with a quiet conflict. His hand clenches at his side, a sign of his internal struggle. Their moment is shattered by a familiar voice calling out his name. It's Emma, with Haruma in tow, walking right toward them. Aoshi immediately apologizes, telling Karen he can't go with her today. He explains that he has to take Emma to the station first. The news leaves Karen a little surprised, but she seems to understand. Emma, meanwhile, clings to his arm, apologizing for the interruption with a cheerful smile. Karen tries to hide her disappointment, insisting that she doesn't mind. But Aoshi promises that he'll make time for her to see the place later. With a hopeful blush, she agrees, saying she'll be looking forward to it. And with that, she turns and walks away down the empty hall. A quiet resolve settles on her face as she leaves them behind. Emma waves cheerfully, teasing Aoshi about the troubles of being so popular. As Emma playfully messes with Haruma, he calls out Aoshi's name. He offers a quiet warning, suggesting it might be better not to get too involved with Karen. The sudden advice catches Aoshi completely off guard, and he asks what he means. Haruma explains that for an unknown newcomer to be pushed into the spotlight is unprecedented, and he suspects there's a hidden motive behind her sudden rise. He remembers Wakaba's warning that she couldn't find a single piece of information on the new girl. Haruma's hand on his shoulder snaps him back to the present, as he tells Aoshi his intuition is usually right. But this time he can't just nod along with his friend's concerns. He explains that if Karen is a dangerous element for the show, he can't support Aoshi's romantic path. Aoshi declares that if anyone tries to take advantage of her, he'll be the one to put a stop to it. Haruma laughs, teasing him for not having more faith and saying it's reassuring to have Aoshi's support. But his expression turns serious again as he tells Aoshi to remember one thing. He explains that a genuine youth is infectious, spreading to those around it. The words seem to strike a chord with Aoshi, though he tries his best to hide it. As Haruma walks away, Emma peeks around the corner, asking if their talk is finally over. Emma stops him, saying there's one last thing she forgot to do. She leans in close, thanking him for putting her before Karen. Aoshi is flustered, admitting to himself that her direct honesty is almost unfair. Sometime later, they arrive at the bustling city station. They stop at a grocery store, as Emma explains her fridge is completely empty. He knows it's a wise precaution, since she can't risk being mobbed by fans alone. She remarks on what an incredibly long day it's been, and he can only agree. Emma then says that with their respective dates decided, she needs to make a choice. She comically weighs her options, comparing Haruma and Aoshi like different cuts of meat. A mischievous smile plays on her lips as she savors the delicious dilemma. Her dramatic cheer echoes through the grocery store as Aoshi dryly notes her carnivorous appetite for drama. A flashback reveals she overheard his entire conversation with the director that day. Back in the present, he asks if she was angry, but she quickly dismisses his clumsy attempt at an apology. She simply asks why he didn't just say what he was really thinking. Aoshi can only agree, telling her he'll do whatever she wants. She explains that his obsession with Karen is almost abnormal, like he's worshipping a goddess. Her hand clutches his jacket as she admits he might be right about that. But she asks if it's fair that he's the only one forced to play the villain. The sudden, sharp question leaves Aoshi completely stunned. He realizes he's the reason Karen is in this mess, and he feels a duty to protect her innocent happiness. But Emma reminds him that Karen chose to enter this world of her own free will. She asks if he's just trying to shield her from the ugly parts, showing her only a perfect, beautiful fantasy. Leaning in closer, she prepares to deliver her final, cutting remark. She asks if protecting her like that isn't just another form of dishonesty. Aoshi looks away, knowing she's right but unable to admit it. His hand clenches into a fist, a sign of his desperate internal conflict. But he finally bursts out, insisting that he just doesn't want Karen to be tainted by him. The raw, emotional confession leaves Emma completely stunned. But then, a quiet, knowing smile spreads across her face. She turns away as a sudden realization dawns on her, leaving Aoshi to wonder what just happened. She asks if he's just trying to be the first one to taint Karen's purity. The thought echoes in his mind, a truth he can't quite deny. He can only swallow hard, caught in her web of logic. She turns away, admitting that Karen is too pure for this world, so it might as well be him. He stops in his tracks, admitting that's exactly why he's so anxious. His honest admission seems to catch her completely off guard. He explains that he knows exactly how much trouble she's been through. She can only call out his name, a blush rising on her cheeks. With a gentle touch, she pats him on the head like a child. He's completely flustered as she leans in close, asking if he's noticed. She asks if he's noticed that one of the show's staff members has been following them. He suggests that once they leave the store, they should make a run for it. With a quiet understanding, she agrees to his plan. He gives the signal, and the two of them suddenly bolt through the grocery store. They race out of the building, leaving their pursuer behind. But as they duck into a back alley, Aoshi suddenly trips and falls to the ground. His outstretched leg sends the man chasing them tumbling right over him. The man cries out in surprise as he crashes to the pavement. Another crew member arrives, revealing the man was a stalker with a camera full of illicit photos of Ime. Aoshi looks back with a cold glare, asking the man if he really thinks he can get away with this. Emma explains that being famous means dealing with people like this all the time. Aoshi's anger boils over as he looks at the two men. He steps in front of Ima, telling the crew member to back away from her. Aoshi lets out a frustrated sigh, tired of the constant games. He calls out the crew member, asking why he's playing the hero when he's part of the act. The accusation leaves the other boy completely stunned and speechless. Aoshi lays it all out. This was a staged event to boost both of their images. Ima looks up, her eyes filled with a quiet intensity. She asks if it matters whether it was staged, and if this is what it takes for him to like her. And with that, she turns and walks away, leaving the crew member utterly confused. She looks back at him, her eyes filled with a quiet challenge. Her mind drifts to a time she explained that for her, this manufactured youth is just a daily routine, and she's willing to give them as much fake love as they want. Aoshi, meanwhile, chases after the crew member, offering a quick apology for his outburst. He's left completely drained, wondering what he's even doing anymore. He finally catches up to Ima, quietly acknowledging the long day they've had. But her subdued response catches him completely off guard. He realizes with a start that she's trembling. He asks if they're just going to pretend there's nothing between them, and pulls her close, realizing she hasn't been taking care of herself at all. Her eyes widen in surprise at his sudden concern. He confronts her directly, realizing she hasn't been going home at all. Ima can only look away, a silent confirmation of his fears. His mind flashes back to her special room at the school, remembering how lived in it felt. He understands now that it wasn't just a perk, it was her only safe haven. Her hand clenches her skirt, a quiet sign of her distress. With a weak smile, she admits that he can see right through her. but Aoshi needs a real answer, demanding that she explain everything. They finally arrive at her apartment building, a tall, impersonal structure, and she finally reveals the truth. An intruder had broken into the complex. She remembers seeing a dark figure on her balcony, a terrifying sight that sent her running for help. Even after her mother moved a trusted friend nearby and they went to the police, the culprit was never caught. Aoshi can't understand how anyone could reach her apartment, knowing she lives on one of the highest floors. But Ima just looks away, claiming she doesn't understand it either, as if she's given up trying. He realizes she's just trying to pretend this whole terrifying incident never happened. But as he pieces it all together, he arrives at a single cruel hypothesis, a possibility that hardens his expression with a grim resolve. He looks down at her, asking her to leave everything to him from now on. Ima looks down for a moment, a silent weight in her posture. Then, with a soft blush, she agrees to put her complete trust in Aoshi. They arrive on the correct floor, stopping in the quiet apartment hallway. He tells Emma to go inside while he checks on something nearby. She watches with a hint of confusion as he approaches the neighbor's door. With a grim resolve, Aoshi rings the buzzer. A man's face appears on the screen, asking if he's one of Ima's relatives. Aoshi introduces himself as a friend, his expression unreadable. He puts on a disarming smile, claiming he doesn't watch the show much. Then, with a deep bow, he apologizes for the sudden intrusion. But his friendly act shatters as he holds up his phone, revealing a damning photo. He explains that he knows about the intruder, and that he took this picture the last time he walked Emma home. He calmly states that one of the people in the photo must be the intruder. The man begins to sweat, completely caught off guard by Aoshi's accusation. Aoshi lays out his theory. The neighbor sold information on Ima to the intruder for money. His hand suddenly shoots out, grabbing the man by the collar. He furiously calls him out for preying on the cast members, a classic kind relative taking advantage of the situation. The man stammers, trying to deny the accusations, but Aoshi holds him firm. Aoshi continues, explaining that the police sketch of the intruder was likely based on the neighbor's own description. He reveals he has photos of the man with various people, and if any of them match the sketch, it's all over. The neighbor's face contorts in terror, realizing he's been completely cornered. From her doorway, Emma watches as the man mutters about Aoshi's self-righteous act. The man desperately tries to justify his actions, seeing nothing wrong with profiting from their fame. But Aoshi coldly tells him that he's no hero, and that the man is far more corrupt than he could ever imagine. He delivers a final, chilling ultimatum, to back off and disappear from his girlfriend's life for good. The neighbor can only sit on the floor, completely defeated. Aoshi turns away, leaving the man to contemplate his actions in the quiet hallway. He walks back toward Ima's apartment, his mind still reeling from the confrontation. Crouching by her door, he wonders why he just called her his girlfriend as her voice calls out his name. He looks up, a flicker of surprise in his eyes. Emma peeks out from her doorway, a worried expression on her face as she asks if he's okay. He closes his eyes for a moment, reassuring her that the intruder won't be bothering her ever again. He tells her the neighbor will be moving soon, a quiet promise of her future safety. She admits she always suspected the man, but his promise to protect her brought her to tears. But despite her relief, she forces a smile, saying she's all alone once more. Her words seem to strike a nerve with Aoshi. He closes the distance between them, pulling her into a sudden, gentle embrace. He questions her words, asking what she could possibly mean by being alone. She looks up, wondering if he can truly be the one to stay by her side. He holds her tighter, promising that he will never leave her, especially on the windiest of days. The sudden, heartfelt confession leaves her a flustered mess, comically complaining about her short skirt. She tells him she doesn't care if he's the worst kind of person. He just smiles, asking if that means she can't say she's alone anymore. She playfully pouts, telling him to lecture her properly if he's going to say things like that. But her tears turn to laughter as she wonders if it's okay to smile through the pain. He tells her to like him as much as she wants, because he can't bring himself to abandon either side of her. She leans against him, asking if it's really okay for her to cause him so much trouble. He holds her close, wondering what kind of man could ever turn away a crying girl, as she begs him to stay by her side just for tonight. Sometime later, she sits up in bed, asking what he thinks of her. Aoshi can only look away, completely overwhelmed by the question, but she tells him not to apologize, admitting she overheard his quiet mumbling anyway. With a soft blush, she gently calls out Aoshi's name. She suggests they keep this night a secret from everyone else and just be together. Her bold proposal leaves Aoshi completely stunned, feeling like he's losing himself in this moment. She admits this is a new experience for her, but promises to make it worthwhile, leaving our boy utterly overwhelmed. With a soft blush, she confesses a secret fondness for the idea of being someone's first. She explains that while most girls want to be a man's final love, she wants to know if he's ever been with anyone before. The unspoken question hangs in the air, a silent confirmation of what she's truly asking. And with a flustered blush, Aoshi admits that he's not as inexperienced as she might think. She admits that she's relieved, since they're both on the same page now. Her words leave Aoshi completely taken aback. She then confesses that she's had a similar experience with him as well. He gives in, warning her that he won't be held responsible for what happens next. Ama just smiles, saying there are days when a girl just wants to let go of everything. And with that, she closes the remaining distance between them. Their lips meet in a quiet, intimate moment. Aoshi pulls back slightly, his expression unreadable. She asks if he'll cherish what she's given him, promising it will always be this way. And with a soft voice, she asks him to stay with her until she falls asleep. He holds her close, their lips meeting in a quiet, shared secret. With a satisfied blush, she wishes him a playful good night,